What DIVOC? Love in a Pandemic, What Could Go Wrong? Everything, Chapter 2, Numero 2. Get Your Drink On, Sunday, March 15th, 2020. Sunday, Blunday Sunday by U2 is blasting in the background of Jake's apartment as he's on the phone with LeBlanc once again. LeBlanc is Jake's best buddy, as the two have grown up since they were 7 years old playing hockey and basketball, soccer and football. Sports have always been a passion for both, and their locker room talk has never really stopped. Neither bachelor has ever been married or really had a true love relationship. They are two average guys in their late 30s, living life, having a good time, working, but both missing something. Don't get it wrong, Jake can get dates, much easier than LeBlanc, but a serious relationship hasn't materialized for either of them as of yet. The closest thing to love either one has is this bromance. Jake says, "Who knows? My boss already emailed me this morning saying he needs to talk. He said it has to do with this virus thing on the news." LeBlanc jumps in as his quirkiness is never too far from the surface. Conspiracy theories and outlandish ideas are his middle name. Buddy, it's something. Like a bird pig flu that happened a few years back, remember? I heard it's everywhere, and either China or Russia is behind it to bring down our economy. Blurts back in LeBlanc. LeBlanc is driving his food delivery truck to a local shopping center, swerving rather erratically because he's so hyped up when he talks. Some would consider LeBlanc a bit of a spaz. "Give me a sec. My other line," says Jake. It's his father once again. "Shit, I forgot to call him back." He pauses a second and doesn't answer. "I'll call him back later. I'm sure it's nothing urgent." Meanwhile, across town, we see a family sitting down for a mid-morning brunch. Kate is busy in the kitchen with her elderly mother, Evelyn, side by side cooking up a storm. A teenage boy, 17 years old, named Ryan, sits across the kitchen table from his grandfather, who's simply staring at his grandson. Ryan is busy on his phone, head down, glossy-eyed, and engrossed in his latest TikTok videos that keep popping up on his screen. Like the zombie apocalypse that LeBlanc keeps referring to Jake about, Ryan represents an ever-increasing population of device-addicted individuals, especially to their phones. Monroe, Ryan's grandfather, shakes his head in disbelief with how his grandson acts, lives, and breathes. That means everything Ryan does is wrong. Monroe firmly believes, as an ex-military man, that not only does his grandson need a kick in the ass, but it needs a permanent boot mark on his butt. Monroe barks, as he usually does. "Catherine, why is it that your son still has no clue about what proper behavior at the table is?" His nose is stuck up in that phone that you'd think it was an extension of his face. Where does Ryan end and the phone begin? Ryan half-heartedly looks up a bit from his phone and scoffs at Grandpa. "Grandpa, haven't you learned anything from your daughter? If you have nothing nice to say, you should maybe..." Kate cuts him off. "Ryan, that's enough. Dad, how many pancakes do you want?" Kate tries to deflect the confrontational energy, as she often does, which continuously exists between her only child and her childlike father. "3, with lots of syrup," barks Grandpa. He's grouchy, but still lovable at times, like an old dog that just can't shake his ways. Kate's mother, Evelyn, is an entirely different person. She's the sweetest thing since saltwater taffy and has a way about her that makes everyone feel like she's everybody's favorite grandma. And while she may be the loving matriarchal figure of the family, she won't let Monroe get away with too much. She's been with him way too long to allow his crabby demeanor to ruin family time. "Monroe, stick your nose in your newspaper and enjoy the morning, or you'll get a pancake upside the head." Ryan chuckles under his breath, as his grandma always knows how to make Grandpa zip it. Kate brings the final touches to the table as the four of them sit down for their traditional Sunday ritual family brunch. Kate has made a point of keeping her small family unit close and caring, even when personalities clash at times. Kate also knows she must break some bad news to Ryan and the rest of the family, as she doubts they're aware of the severity of this 2-week minimum stay-at-home advisory. She knows Ryan will especially be upset, as his social life will take a hit and he'll be stuck spending a lot more time in the house with his grandparents, as she'll be working much more. Before Kate can bring it up, her mother does her thing. "So, honey, how was that first date last night with your gentleman suitor?" Kate's surprised, but not really, by the question of her mother, tries to avoid speaking about her dating life or the lack of dating life. But before she can say anything, Monroe blurts out, 2 weeks at home? What the hell is that?" as he reads the headline in the newspaper. Yes, Dad, we all have to stay home unless it's for essential trips to the grocery store and whatnot. Ryan finally gets his nose off the phone and looks up and says, "This is only for old people like you guys, right? Old people." "Sorry, dear. No, this is for everyone. You'll have no school for at least 2 weeks and you can't go to your friends or have them over." "What the?" Grandma cuts him off before he finishes the last two letters of that four-letter word. "Ryan, watch your mouth. There's no way I'm staying inside with you three for 2 weeks. That sounds like," his grandmother blurts out, "HE double hockey sticks," finishing Ryan's words before they come out again. Ryan bolts from the table and walks to the fridge to get some juice. He drinks it straight from the container. Kate knew he would have an eruption, so she's cutting him a little slack, as she knows this will not be easy on anyone, and especially her. She's thinking of her family's reality, but also her staff and the residents of the long care seniors facility that she runs just a few blocks away. This will be a stressful time for all involved. She's worried as she's done some research on the virus and all the effects it's had in other parts of the globe. She believes, however, her province may not be as prepared as it should be for what's about to come. Ryan has taken a moment to collect his thoughts and decides she'll try to reason and convince his mother by using his teenage Jedi mind trick capabilities, wherein he overconfidently thinks they're going to work. "Mom, listen." Monroe drops his newspaper from his front of his face to pay attention and watch his grandson's feeble attempt to sway his mother wishes. "Mom, seriously, you and I both know this is just a scare tactic for all the fools out there, not for me. And seriously, my friends have jobs. They'll all be able to work. There's no way I should be punished and locked inside with my grandparents." Monroe sees an opening to once again drive home his brand of tough love, which he feels is essential, especially for his eldest grandchild, as Ryan's father has never been involved in his grandson's life. "So, you're going to finally get a job? And no, that wasn't a question. Grandpa, could you for once just stay out of my business? And no, that wasn't a question either." Monroe's short fuse is lit. "Back in my day, I would never even think of speaking like that to an adult. I would have received a beating." Evelyn jumps in once again. "Enough, you two." Kate knows Ryan has to understand the severity of what is about to come and confirms. "No, Ryan, I know you don't want to hear this, but you are not to leave this house under any What the?" Kate looks to her son, stops him from finishing that four-letter word. That word, of course, that we all know from the English language, that's so universally known that we don't need to necessarily say it. And Ryan storms off to his room. And just to get in the last word, Monroe screams down the hall, "And watch your tongue, your language stinks. I'll wash your mouth out with..." Evelyn and Kate both look at Monroe, and he realizes maybe he should quit now also before he's sent to his room. LeBlanc has pulled up to a gas station to fill up his delivery truck as he's halfway through his deliveries. As he's about to start gassing up, he sees at pump number 4 a stunning woman in her little Fiat. He decides to put the pump back into its holder at pump number 1, where he originally pulled up, and drives instead to pump number 2 to be side by side with her car. He wants a better vantage point before bringing out his moves. He initially fumbles with the hose and gets tangled in it, and he tries to glide smoothly to start the conversation with the stranger at the pump. "Hey, how's it going?" LeBlanc has the classic line everybody would always want to hear while pumping gas, of course. The very attractive woman ignores the comment as, one, she didn't even know LeBlanc was standing near her, and even more importantly, she doesn't care. LeBlanc tries to use his go-to move, humor. "You know, you can't spell virus without a U and an I. Hi, I'm Lucas, but my buddies call me LeBlanc. Nice fat you have over there." He mispronounces the car's name. Remember, it's Fiat. The woman turns to him, does the once-over, checks his ride, and looks from underneath her sunglasses and says, "What did you say? Did you call me fat?" Confused, LeBlanc smirks and says, No, what fat? No, your car, it's a fat, isn't it? I mean, you mean cool, like the PHAT fat. You know, back in the day, like that's fat, meaning excellent and cool. Then yeah, that way, but not fat, not like a fat chick." The woman has never seen a man fail so miserably at attempting to talk to her. Is this guy for real? He's pathetic in her eyes. She rightly but arrogantly assumes correctly this delivery man wants to chat her up, but he has no chance, and he sucks at small talk. "Buddy, I'm out of your league. You drive a delivery truck and you smell like meat," says the woman. LeBlanc knows full well his smooth operator impersonation was an epic fail. He cuts his losses and simply brushes her off. Fine, fine, lady. I was just trying to be nice. He's embarrassed and tries to quickly finish pumping his gas, but he pulls out the hose out of the gas and it's still pouring out a little. He regains his balance and mitigates the damages and places the hose back in its rightful spot, all while looking on. What a complete tool, she thinks. The woman watches in amazement at this inept courting display. She sits back in her Fiat and drives off. Jake is in his kitchen, looking in the refrigerator. He's deciding what he'll eat for breakfast, trying to stall before he texts Kate. He wants to make a good second impression. He's thought about her all night and how it was a date like no other he's ever had. Sure, she's attractive and all those other qualities, but he can't get over how they connected, how she genuinely kept his attention, was engaging, and made him smile. Her intelligence and wit and downright happy aura make him feel giddy. He's about to start writing to her when the phone vibrates and falls to the floor. The clumsy yet lovable Jake may try to act suave and hip, but he's a grown boy in a man's body, just like his buddy LeBlanc, but he can hide it better to the outside world. He picks it up, hoping maybe she was calling him, but notices it's Dad again, and this time he really should answer. Hey, Dad, what's up? Sorry I wasn't able to call you back. Work's been crazy lately, as he jumps in before he allows his father to put in a word. That's okay, son. I understand. Sorry to bother you, but I could use your help, says his father, Mac. You need my help? Responds a curious Jake. His father calls all the time, but he's never actually asked for anything from him. Yeah, could you go to the grocery store for me and the pharmacy? Arthur, who's Mac's buddy from the low-cost housing apartment he lives in, said we shouldn't be leaving the building right now, and well, we need some stuff. You want me to go shopping, really? Are you okay? You're not locked up in an old folks' home. It's your apartment. You can do what you want, Dad, says a curious Jake. I know, but it seems like this coronavirus is serious, responds his father, somewhat naively. And I told Art I'd take his advice. Little does Jake know his father half-heartedly also believes this whole virus thing and figures it could be a way for his son to come and spend some time with him. Therefore, he's strategically using the go get the groceries idea as a potential way to see his son more. Jake is the only living family member he has left. They both lost Jake's mother more than 13 years ago from cancer, and Jake knows they've grown apart since. But his father needs him right now, and Jake figures this will only be a little annoyance to his busy lifestyle. You got it, Dad. Write me down your list and send me an email or text or e-text it? Really? A puzzled father answers back. Jake realizes, no, that won't work. This is his dad he's talking about. Technology and him are like vinegar and oil, or like a Canadians and Bruins fan watching the game together. It doesn't mix that well. Don't worry, I'll come over and get it, Pops. Ryan walks back into the dining room as Kate and Evelyn are cleaning up the dishes. Monroe, the old school hard-ass man that he is, hardly ever does the non-traditional men's work. It doesn't play so well for the two ladies, but they've accepted who he is. And if it doesn't influence his grandson, the women both subconsciously see his sexist behavior as a deterrent for Ryan to act in any similar fashion, as Ryan doesn't want to be anything like his grandfather. Both men are usually at each other's throats, with Ryan's teenage years in overdrive and Monroe's growing crotchety demeanor. Their squabbles have amplified with time. Still steaming after learning he'll be a prisoner of the COVID war in his own home, Ryan bites his tongue for a second. He needs to strategize how to change her mind. He's going to act cool and nonchalant, downplaying the new rules that his mother just laid in place. He'll attempt maybe some humor as the remedy to his new house imprisonment. Mom, sorry for my language before. I know how you hate it when I swear. I'll find a middle ground without using curse words. Kate looked back at him curiously in his unusual open encounter rebuttal. Her son will not change her mind about the family needing to quarantine. This is a failed attempt waiting to happen, Ryan says. I checked the Urban Dictionary, and instead of saying what the F you know the rest, I'll say what DIVOC. Ryan, what are you talking about? She has no idea what an Urban Dictionary is, and she doesn't care. Ryan chirps back. DIVOC means what the F, but it's not swearing, so it's all good. What do you think? Kate looks at him puzzled. Okay, sure, great. Whatever, dear, that's fantastic. Just then a text appears on Kate's phone. It's Jake. He reaches out to her as she's hoped he would. She smiles, and Ryan sees his mother is distracted by the text and figures he's going to throw caution to the wind and go for it. Okay, thanks for brunch, Mom. I'm going to Colton's house. I'll see you later. Kate may have had a moment of distraction, but she shuts him down very quickly. No way. I told you there's no more discussion about it. You're not going anywhere. Ryan sees his weak plan fall flat, looks at his mother, shakes his head, and slams his bedroom door. He screams in his room slowly and with intent, "What the fuck?" Monroe smiles while he's sipping his coffee, nodding that his daughter is laying down the law. Evelyn notices her husband and knows exactly what he's thinking, so she blurts to him, "Hey, funny man, this means you are not allowed out either. You understand?" Monroe, who's unaware that the new family rules also apply to him, says, "You can't be serious. There's no way I'm staying here for 2 weeks." Evelyn is short and to the point. "You better believe it, old man. You're a POW from now until lockdown is over. And this is your new prison, and I'm the warden." Monroe then murmurs, "Friggin' DIVOC or smuggling DIVOC." Texts Jake back. She explains she's also had a lovely time and would like to do it again. Maybe they could talk later about their next step. Kate also mentions it's kind of hectic today and she'll need to prepare for work tomorrow. She is prepared to confront the unique challenges that her residents and staff will now be faced with. Jake agrees, and after a few joking texts, they plan to reconnect soon when they have some time to talk. Both are relieved that the all important first reach out after the date is over and went splendidly. Nobody was ghosted on this one, and that's a good first sign. Kate hides her text from the rest of the household as to not raise any suspicions or especially questions from her mother. Evelyn tells Kate, "Your sister's on the phone and she wants to talk to you for a minute." Kate floats towards her mom with butterflies in her stomach. Dare she even believe? Could this be the beginning of a love life of her very own? She tries not to get ahead of herself, but this is exciting. Evelyn, who's always watching her daughter like a hawk, sees her glow. She would love nothing more for her daughter to finally find that special someone who would treat her the way she deserves. She knows that last night's date was special. Her daughter is, however, failing miserably to hide her excitement from her mother's eyes. Evelyn understands Kate must at some point put her own happiness on her priority pecking order. She's always shelved her happiness and put that on the back burner for others' wants and needs. And this has created a large void in Kate's life. Evelyn doesn't want her daughter to believe that true love is never meant for her. Meanwhile, in the living room, Monroe is watching the wall-to-wall news coverage on the new virus and the consequences it will likely have in society. The happenings from around the globe are starting to hit the North American population. The "it's happening, but it's a problem for someone else across the globe" mentality is shattered, and now rightfully so. Monroe has always underappreciated everything that's done for him by his house members, especially the five-star service he receives from his daughter and wife. The disproportionate burden on the women in their household dynamic is partly why he and Ryan butt heads all the time. And Ryan thinks Monroe is ungrateful, and Monroe thinks Ryan is lazy. His grandson also doesn't realize he sometimes mimics the traits of a certain Monroe in a certain way. His mom has always gone above and beyond for him, and the 17-year-old is also not as appreciative as he should be. The newscast cuts to a reporter standing outside her own home. "Hello, everyone. I have just returned from outside the country. Therefore, I must now self-isolate at home for a couple of weeks, which follows the guidelines from our public health centers. I'll be checking in from my home, reporting on the reality of self-isolation." Monroe jumps up and barks again at the TV. "Kind of bullshit is this? Nobody's going to force me to stay at my home. For the love of God, the world is made up of pansies now. Everybody is so friggin' soft. Even when countries are at a real war, life goes on. We don't all hide out in our homes for days on end." Jake is holding two coffees and knocks on an apartment door. His father opens it up with a huge smile. Arthur, his father's neighbor, opens the door across the hall simultaneously. "Wash your hands, Jake. Don't touch your father." Arthur was likely waiting for Jake to arrive, looking through the peephole like a cat sitting in the window, watching the cars drive by incessantly. Both men look at Arthur a little bewildered. Art is a very heavy-set older gentleman who hangs out with Mac all the time, but he is a bit of a hypochondriac and goes overboard at times. Okay, all the time. Jake does his best PR move and gives the sly smile to Arthur. You got it, Artie. And don't worry, I'll be sure to pick up all the stuff you and my old man need. Arthur starts to go back into the apartment and mumbles. Well, then where's my coffee then? As he shuts the door, Mac tells his son not to worry about him, as Arthur is a little stressed with all the hullabaloo going around. Mac invites his son in, and Jake checks out his dad's smallish living conditions. He hands his father a Tim Hortons coffee. I stopped by Timmy's to get you one. Thank you, son. How have you been? Must be busy as usual. Jake nods and talks about his work in small sports equipment manufacturer. Jake is the sales department and has the lead sales team of two people. He takes care of the trade shows and visits clients to drum up business and is the right-hand man to a little yet somewhat successful small business owner of sport equipment, Mr. Pierre Beauchamp. You can see the joy of Mac listening to his son and spending time with him. Jake and Mac, without Therese, the name of Jake's mom and Mac's wife, haven't been able to really gel for many years now. They fall into a pattern of sporadic and mandatory holiday visits every year, but not much more than that. They're not what you'd call close, and it makes them both feel a little sad, especially for Mac, as he feels guilty for failing in his eyes to keep a strong father-son relationship. Unfortunately, today's passing didn't bring the two men closer, as one would have hoped. It only amplified how important Jake's mom was to the family closeness. She was their glue. Neither talked much about her death to one another, the loss and pain they both felt and still feel. Mac has guilt that he's let down his wife's legacy, a strong family that she helped build, and unfortunately, he doesn't know how to fix. Without her, they've drifted apart. And while Mac has recently ramped up his efforts to reconnect with Jake, without too much success, he knows it's a two-way street, and Jake doesn't have the same sense of urgency. Mac is at times resigned to the idea that maybe it's simply too late for things to ever get better between them. After a few minutes of chit-chat, Mac says, thank you for coming and helping me, son. Jake says, of course, Dad, no worries. This thing will blow over quickly. You know how people get all paranoid. I'll get your groceries, and after 2 weeks, all will be back to normal. Mac, for the first time in a long time, feels a true father-son moment and no guilt for asking for help. Jake gets up to leave, and Mac quickly jumps in. You could stay for lunch if you'd like. Jake thinks for a second, knowing he should say yes, sensing the hope that his father's tone, but sees his boss is calling. 1 second, Dad. I have to take this. I'll get the groceries and we'll talk about dinner when I get back. He takes the grocery list with items for Mac and Arthur and heads out the door. Jake is heading to the elevator as he answers the phone. Salut Pierre, ça va? What's up? Pierre is the company's owner and has been running Sport Equip for over 2 decades. With only the 15 employees in their small office and warehouse, Pierre has maintained a mom and pop feel for the company and managed to survive in the highly competitive sports equipment world. With his French-Canadian accent, when he speaks English, he is a perfect picture of the successful bilingual small business owner who started from nothing. I have bad news, Jake. I'm going to have to lay you off for at least 2 weeks because they are shutting us down. What? Are you kidding me, Pierre? That's ridiculous. The government is shutting us down completely? I'm afraid so, Jake. You know our bottom line. I can't pay anyone without any goods coming out of the warehouse. And well, unless you can drive sales up right now, I decided this is the safest course of action, adds Pierre. Jake and Pierre talk a little longer. There are, of course, no hard feelings. It's just thrown Jake for a loop. Shit just got real, as they say. Guess this virus thing will affect him after all. Financially, Jake is okay for a little while, but he's like most of the working class. He gets by not living extravagantly and beyond his means. He somewhat, though, lives paycheck to paycheck. He thinks, what am I going to do for a couple of weeks if I can't get work? Oh, I'll do stuff for Dad. Wait, Kate. Maybe I can spend more time with her. Jake's not comprehending what the social distancing directives are, though. It doesn't click right away that dating in person right now is likely not on the to-do list. LeBlanc is driving down a residential road about to make the last delivery on his run. He's listening to a commercial promoting the wake-up call with ranting Lando for tomorrow's morning show. Be sure to listen to Lando as he breaks down our city's new reality. LeBlanc notices the same Fiat along the side of the road and sees a lady who has a flat tire. He contemplates what to do. What will I do? Drive right past her and give her a condescending wave, or stop and help the lady out? Maybe she'll think twice about shattering a guy's hopes like she did to me next time. So he pulls up slowly, stops, and slides out from the driver's door. Seems maybe I was destined for a second chance to make a good first impression with you. And this guy knows how to change flats on Fiats. The woman looks up. Her name is Lana, by the way. She's frustrated that the tire is flat, but figures what the hell. This dork can talk her up and she'll play along just as long as he changes the flat. She'll probably give him a fake phone number routine. That's the plan that Lana has decided to put into effect. I'm sorry about before. I was having a bad day, but you helping me out will brighten it up now. Under her breath, she says, dork. Oblivious as always, but gleaming as he feels karma has given him a second chance, is clueless that she has zero interest in him. He doesn't sense the fake smile and giggles. She leans in close to him, touches his arm, and he's flirting with another chum, is what's happening in her mind. This is another loser who has nothing going for him and has no chance with her. But she can squeeze whatever she needs out of him by batting her eyelashes just a couple times. Men. She snickers to herself. So easy to manipulate, just like puppets. Just get the tire changed so she can be on her way and get out of here. As LeBlanc finishes up, he puts his hand out to shake hers. His paws are filthy, dirty, and she has no interest in shaking his hand. But she bites the bullet and shakes it anyway. It's just one gesture, she figures, fine. I'll throw his dog a bone. And to quicken the process, she slips him a piece of paper with a fake number on it. As they shake hands and unsuspecting to one another, the word DIVOC appears on both of their license plates as they drive away from one another. Now, this is an author's note. Yes, DIVOC. What does that have to do with anything? Well, spell COVID backwards and DIVOC is what you get. It's a screwed up story, I know. This book may be strange for some, but this is the strangest time our population has ever faced. We all deal with it in our own way, some with horrendous outcomes, while others still think it's a hoax. In this story, when DIVOC happens, it means COVID has been passed along or is in the vicinity. You never know when the virus will physically affect or simply skip over someone. In mysterious ways, the virus randomly picks and chooses its victims adds to the messed up nature of this little story. So in other words, what DIVOC? Back to the story. Kate's been on the phone chatting with her sister Emma for an hour, talking about the virus. While important, Emma wants to hear about the date instead. Evelyn had prepped Emma about Kate's outing just the night before. The sisters have been close their entire lives, but Kate feels something is off with Emma since the last year or so, but she just can't place it. They have less time to see one another with their busy lives, of course. Kate's work and family commitments take up most of her times, and just like her sister, they both have a very full plate. Emma is the mom of a wonderful 6-year-old, curious and cute little girl named Elizabeth, known as Lizzie. She is also a center director for a vocational school and has a great professional career. She was a teacher, then became a principal in elementary school, and just started her first year at the center director of her school board's largest trade school. Her marriage, however, has taken a turn lately. Kate senses Emma is not happy with her husband, William, but her sister is not giving out very much information. The strong-willed, successful professional has everything going for her, but her husband has had a tougher time with his employment situation. He has resorted to trying to become a professional poker player. And William did hit it big once and walked away with $150,000, but how much he has spent on his gambling profession, nobody seems to know. Emma's not on board with this as a career choice either. And even if he won a big jackpot, she hasn't seen and added much to the family finances from that big win. This has caused a definite friction between the couple. Kate has only been able to get snippets and pieces out of Emma, but never the whole picture. And with that in mind, any positive relationship news now not only brightens Kate's day, but gives Emma some joy when it's talked about. Sis, no matter what's happening right now, give it a shot. Try, give it a chance. Don't wait for the perfect moment. See where it goes, is what Emma says to her older sibling. Like Evelyn, Emma knows that Kate has had no luck with men, and she can't give up. They finish off the conversation, agreeing that they'll talk later and have a drink in a couple days, as they do live right beside each other. Even if everyone is supposed to stay in their own homes, come on, let's not go overboard here. Sister neighbors, that should be acceptable, but it is against the social distancing rules, and they're both not 100% sure how they're going to deal with these new regulations. Both sisters like having the family together because they create people buffers, especially Lizzie. When tensions between Emma and William are hot, or when Monroe is unbearable, having Lizzie around dulls Grandpa's grumblings. Sounds good. We will see you in a week. And Kate hangs up. Ryan comes back into the room and says, Mom, I'm leaving. I'm going out and I'm an adult. You can't stop me. Kate blurts out, I said you are not leaving this house. Ryan fires back. Then maybe I should call Dad and see if I can live with him for a little bit. That does not sit well with her as she stands there stunned for a second. Ryan sees that comment definitely hit a nerve and backtracks just a bit, but still fights for his independence. Fine, I'm not calling Dad, but I'm going to get a job. And he storms out. Kate doesn't even get a chance to say anything to stop him as Monroe blurts out, Finally, a good idea. It's about time. Go get him, Tiger. Kate, just leave the boy. Kate decides in that moment, even if it's against her better judgment, this is not a battle she will wage with her son. She figures he won't be successful in his attempt to get employment anyway. He'll likely stroll around the block. Who's going to hire a 17-year-old right now? Everything is closed and shutting down. Jake, however, has been walking around, not really going anywhere, racking his brain trying to figure out what he's going to do next to fix his work problem. He has completely lost track of time and has wasted the entire day away. It's early evening and his phone rings. It's his dad. Shit, I forgot to get the freaking groceries, he blurts out to himself. Before his dad can say a word, Dad, an emergency came up at work after I saw you. I'm so sorry, Pop. I'll head over first thing tomorrow morning to pick up the groceries and drop them right off. I promise. That's chapter 2 of What DIVOC.